Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about. It's so exciting. We're going to talk about Edgin Darvis, the human bard from Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, and his new stat block, fresh in D&D Beyond. And I have to say, I'm so excited that everybody who canceled their subscription, everybody who deleted their account has been immediately punished for that action, right? Because this is, it doesn't matter where you are in tabletop role-playing games. You care about this. And the reason why is you care because you're like, oh, crap, what if the D&D movie actually is a huge success? And also, you just want to see history in the making. This is history in the making, right? Like, this is Chris Pine's picture is on D&D, his Edgin Darvis looks exactly like Chris Pine, and not a little, but to the T. Right? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's a non-player character who is canon material in Dungeons and Dragons, who literally has the image of the man who Harry Styles said he spit on. Right? This is historically important, and it's just a savage rebuff of everyone who everyone who really questioned anything Hasbro was doing, right? And it's just like, y'all's coming back. This is Twitter Mastodon all over again, right? You ran over to Mastodon, you found it was an empty tomb, and you're now back where everything's happening, which is Dungeons and Dragons. So I just love it. I just love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So I love to see D&D win, and this is a huge win for Dungeons and Dragons. Let's talk about Edgin Darvis. Okay. Human bard. What's really fascinating about him, right, is he is an ex-Harper. So he was in the Harpers. And this is really fascinating because one of the things that we're getting with this Dungeons and Dragons, with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, full statting of every single hero and two villains, right, in D&D Beyond. And then also, being delivered weeks before the movie. And also, Dungeons & Dragons, I was there with you. I really questioned the value of digital content. But we're back, man. We are fully back. And, one of the things is, this was dropped weeks before the movie, and it would have been incredibly difficult. It actually probably would have been impossible to do any of this in print, right? And the other nice thing is D&D Beyond is really allowing D&D Canon to move at the speed of life, right? We get the D&D Canon hardbacks, they're incredibly important, but we get these Vecna right at the time of Stranger Things, right? And they can be, because they're releasing them digitally, they can be responsive, right? And so if there was, if it was hard getting Michelle Rodriguez to pose for her picture, you have more time with the digital. So D&D Beyond is proving that everything the OSR and everything the indie complained about is completely wrong, and D&D Beyond is essential. There's no ability for it to be gone because it is beyond useful, and it is proving to be an incredibly useful thing. And what are the OSR and indie replacements for it? I think it's some nonsense name. I can't even. I think there's two of them, right? And Ghostfire Games recently covered them. But there's just, and what are you gonna do? Go over there and look at pictures of no one, or it's not Hollywood? Certainly not people who are headed toward Oscars or already have Oscars, right? It's really, yeah. I'm just so excited. So Edgin Darvis, right? He was part of the Harpers. Now, what's really fascinating is the Harpers themselves. So what are the Harpers? So first of all, they are a faction within Forgotten Realms, right? And they are specifically a good aligned faction that protects the goodwill of the commoners, the little people, right? They don't stand for the merchants, they don't stand for the wealthy, they don't stand for the nobility. They are there to serve the people, right? And what's interesting is they're not aligned to any city. They are literally a faction of a group, right? A community of adventurers who say, we will do what is right regardless, right? And our alliance, our goodwill extends from adventurer to an adventurer, right? And it doesn't matter to us what city you're from. It doesn't matter to us what species you're from. It doesn't matter to us, pretty much, as long as you are good aligned and as long as you are a serving adventurer, you can be part of the Harpers, right? And that's pretty exciting. Now, I will say it is hard to grasp it, and it is actually, I don't actually think it fits in the Forgotten Realms history, right? There's no good reason that adventurers would simply align and create this group. So I actually think that the Harpers are specifically a D&D designer projection that the Dungeon Master and the Dungeons and Dragons player community should have goodwill toward each other for no other reason that they are Dungeon Masters and Dungeons and Dragons players, right? And that seems like a small thing, but boy, is it not. And I am definitely part of this problem, right? And a lot of people get on me and they come at me and they're like, Scott, why are you always comparing Dungeons and Dragons to Christianity? Well, man, the reason why is the communities are pretty much freaking identical, right? The biggest thing is we fight over the most picayune minutia, right? Like Shadow Dark RPG is about to drop, and the OSR community is circling around it and saying this is our premier content and this is our attempt to replace Dungeons and Dragons. Not the creators of the game. They wanted to make a good game. The moment they attached an OSR, they put an OSR sticker on the cover. They owned every bit of the cultural and commercial skirmish that is happening between D&D and OSR, and so that product is caught up in the cultural and commercial skirmish between D&D and OSR, right? And so, like, right now, right? I look at Shadow Dark RPG and I'm like, this black and white art just says amateur product to the core, right? And it's going to repel any new player, right? You have to be a D&D fan who actually likes black and white art, and not even the good black and white art, right? Like, the art in Shadow Dark RPG goes all the way back to when Gary was doing black and white art, and not with professional artists, but with his friends, and it looked amateur and cheap, right? And that's what they're trying. That's the energy they're going for in Shadow Dark RPG, in my humble opinion. And so, like, I'm rolling right at them and saying, this is absurd. You should never, ever, ever made this black and white. It's just, it ruins the entire product, right? Like, and at the same time, the OSR comes right back at me, and they're saying, oh, like, all this, you have all this, full color art, but because the art has to check all these woke boxes, and they're not wrong, right? Like gender, species, which is species, species diversity, and gender diversity, and preference diversity. They're right. All those woke boxes are going to get checked in the full color, modern art. And so we fight. We have these virtual fights over these minutia, like the smallest detail, and we are virtual daggers out all the time over it. Same thing with Christianity, right? Should be kumbaya. We all love Jesus, but you get two Christians in a room, and they're like, "Wait, you guys baptize infants like babies? Like John the Baptist baptized people in a river, and it was a symbol of Christianity. A baby can't even choose to be a Christian. What the heck are you doing?" And they're like, "You don't baptize your babies? You just send them to the hot place? What?" And we just fight over we have these virtual fights over the most picayune stuff, right? But the Harpers, actually, in my humble opinion, which Edgin Darvis is an ex-Harper, right? He left the Harpers to earn more money to give to his family, right? Because he didn't make any money under the Harpers, right? And so, very, very fascinating. And I'm so excited about these beautiful, brilliant, wonderful, history-making stat blocks that are on D&D Beyond right now. And Dungeons and Dragons just saying, this ain't even a conversation, right? We spent $145 million a year last year for D&D Beyond, and we are using it, and we are putting things here that no one in the tabletop role-playing game industry, or connected to the industry, no one is going to ignore this. Every single person is going to be right back on D&D on right now, because they desperately need to see history in the making. They simply cannot avoid. They have to see history in the making, and I'm just so excited to see it. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.